Welcome back. This is The Weekend Report. I'm Masachaba Mposwa. From the 26th of December to the 1st of January, Pan-Africanists and those who subscribe to the ideology will be observing Kwanzaa. Now, Kwanzaa is a week-long celebration of African heritage and blackness, family and cultural unity rooted in 7 principles. This year, the Ebukhosini Solutions will hold the 24th anniversary celebration under the theme, Knowing Land, Knowing Self. Let's discuss this now with Executive Director of Ebukhosini Solutions, Dr. Baba Buntu. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika. Always good to have you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Machaba. It's really great to be here.
Now, for those who may be unfamiliar with Kwanzaa, if you can just tell us about this week-long celebration and what it represents before we delve into this year's theme.
Thank you so much. I think the real history behind Kwanzaa starts right here on the soil, the indigenous festivals that we have always observed since time immemorial to celebrate when the crops come out of the soil. That is something that has been done throughout the continent since many generations. And then in 1966, the African-American scholar Maulana Karenga, he and his team did some research on what are some of the festivals that could be celebrated by everybody of African heritage in the world. And they looked at harvest festivals specifically and found them to be very resonant around the continent. And I think what I really enjoy about Kwanzaa, because some people will say, but that's not an indigenous festival to Africa. And I think what I like about it is that it really speaks to who we have become as African people. We have a huge and incredible history behind us, but we have also a disturbance and a disconnect that has affected all of us. And Kwanzaa allows us to recognize our indigenous footprint and our greatness, but it also raises some questions about who do we want to be now when our languages, our cultures, our understanding of who we are has been disrupted in many ways. And I think that's something to honor, that's something to acknowledge, that's something to create new plans from.
Now, speaking of understanding who we are, talk to me about this year's theme for Kwanzaa, Knowing Land, Knowing Self.
So, Machaba, I want to say this very proudly. Over the years, as Ebukhosini and also as the Buntu family, we have been able to acquire land together with some other families. And we are co-developing an African commune that we refer to as Abakwantu village. And this year we are taking Kwanzaa to African-owned land. And that's huge for us. We have celebrated this 23 years before, but it has always been in some community hall, at a school, great places. But to be on African-owned land in this country and in this continent means something very profound. So when we decided then on the theme, Knowing Land, Knowing Self, it has to do with us understanding what land really means to us deeply. It's not just a place, it's not just a physical entity. It also speaks to our history. The land never stopped to speak to us, but I think we lost the ability to speak back to it. So this is really about us immersing ourselves back into the land, saying that, you know, we understand land now. We are beginning to rekindle our close relationship with the land. And when we do that, we also find our power, we find our purpose.
And we find our identity.
We find our identity. So knowing land, knowing self.
I love that. How do the principles of umoja, which I believe means unity, and ujima, collective responsibility, challenge the way that we live in an increasingly individualistic society?
Very important point. I think as Ebukhosini, this has been at the forefront of all the programs we have done over the years and continue to do, especially unity. And I think unity is this principle that most of us agree that we should have, but I don't think we are observing it very well at times. We easily get into conflict. We easily have issues amongst each other and against each other. And I think those who do not really want to see a prosperous continent, they know this and they feed that fire. So we need to have a stronger resistance against some of the things that keeps us falling out of line, keeps us being... We need to accept that, yes, there's a lot of brokenness within the continent and also within us, the descendants of the great people we come from. But that brokenness can be repaired, and part of that repair happens when we start to unite, start to see ourselves in each other.
So in practical terms, Dr. Baba Buntu, how can families translate these principles from symbolisms into actual daily actions?
Very good question. I think Kwanzaa has been set up to be a family celebration first and foremost. As Ebukhosini, we always invite to the opening ceremony on the day of Umoja, 26 December. But the practicality of it is really to have deep conversations. I think what sets Kwanzaa apart from maybe your average celebration is that many celebrations are a little bit just joy, just fun, just no real reflective issues. But Kwanzaa brings in, yes, there's joy, there's celebration, there's smiles, but there's also a deep reflection. Who are we even within our family? Do we know that our children feel safe enough to speak to us about the things they experience at school or anywhere they go? Do we as adults have conversations that help us to find the motivation? Because, Mr. Chaba, I think if we are honest, life is not easy for most of us. To wake up and want to start your day is a huge thing for many of us.
Absolutely.
And that is something we experience right in the houses that we live. So what do we do to empower each other? When you open that door and go into the world, all kinds of violations may face you as you leave the house. What are you equipping your family members with as they leave the house and go into the world?
And in a year that has been described as particularly difficult for black communities globally, I mean, if you can at least talk to us a little bit about how Kwanzaa assists, particularly in cultural healing as well.
Absolutely. I think just to come together, and I think this is the beauty of Kwanzaa. I saw in the introduction it was described as a celebration for Pan-Africanists, but I also want to say that it's not about ideology. All you need to believe is that Africa has a future and you would like to be part of it. That's really where it starts. You don't have to have a certain ideology as such. But it helps that if you also are intentional about what we should do together as African people to improve this continent and our communities. And I think that's what the celebration really is, coming together and see our beautiful diversity as African people, our different dress codes, our different ways of speaking, our different ways of presenting our culture. And there's something really grounding about attending Kwanzaa. You find a certain motivation to go into the next calendar year and say, you know what, I was about to lose hope, but I think my faith has been restored.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. On that note, what can people expect very briefly and where do they find you?
Okay, so we are on all social media platforms. Look for Ebukhosini, look for Kwanzaa. And what you can expect is a program for children, a program for adults, and a beautiful ceremony where also the children come in to explain some principles we should live by as African people. There's poetry, there's song, there's food, there's markets. So bring your pocket, bring your money, and bring your smile and bring your feet so we can dance together in harmony.
Dr. Baba Buntu, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.